What's up with all the COVID outbreaks through all leagues, especially the NFL? This is Dr. David Chao, ProFootballDoc.com. Let me start by saying this is not political. This is not red. This is not blue. This is not COVID anything. I think people should get vaxxed. It should be, I'm vaxxed, my wife is vaxxed, not political at all. This is purely talking about the NFL and how it's handling COVID and who can play and who won't play for fantasy, DFS, and wagering purposes. This is all that is. Let me tell you something that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. COVID begets COVID. Just like I've always said, injuries beget injuries. When you start getting injuries on the offensive line, you start shuffling players, playing out of position, less talented players, you get more injuries to the position group. They don't come off special teams. The special teams guy still wants them, so injuries beget injuries. So why does COVID beget COVID? Well, the obvious is if you have COVID in the building, it can spread. And while that is true, and there's no question that in the winter now months, all flus are more prevalent. And even if you don't have COVID and you have regular flu symptoms, that gets you tested. Prior to this, players that were vaccinated were only tested once a week on Monday. That's why you had the rash of positives on Monday. But once you get positives for a team, let's look at the Rams, who before their Monday night game, Tyler Higbee, Jalen Ramsey, and now comes out Odell Beckham. And there might be more. There were a couple others. Their right tackle, a backup corner. So there's at least 5, if not 6, on the Rams. So they're in enhanced protocols. The Browns apparently have 8 players on COVID. They're in enhanced protocols. And what does that mean? It means that you are virtual for meetings, masked everywhere, and daily testing. We shouldn't be surprised that daily testing reveals more positives. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy cycle. You start daily testing because you have some sort of outbreak, there's COVID in the building, and then you start daily testing because it's the right thing to do, and then you discover more COVID. And then this is why I would expect more Browns players to test positive. But some of it is a reflection of the time of the year. Some of it is a reflection of society and what's happening in terms of COVID. But some of it is just the protocols where COVID begets COVID. If you have a lot of players test on Monday, the once a week, and they're positive, enhanced protocol now means daily testing. So if you're not in enhanced protocols, you test Monday, you don't test again until the next Monday. But now you're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and if we have a 5% positivity rate, it's almost, if you take all the players on the team, 1 per day if it's a 5% positivity rate or more. So it is what it is, and take it for what it is. It is that time of year where we're going to expect a lot of COVID announcements because of the way they're now testing and because the way the NFL is handling it. And I'm not saying they're handling it incorrectly. They've made their rules that this is how we're going to do it. And you can argue whether asymptomatic players should or shouldn't play. We've talked about where asymptomatic players, and we talked about last year on the field, COVID isn't really transmitted last year. Once again, this is not political. I'm just trying to tell you, expect more COVID absences based on the current NFL rules.